Taylor Swift had always been careful about who she let into her life, especially when it came to relationships. After years of navigating public scrutiny, she thought she'd found something special with NFL star Travis Kelce. Their romance had been the talk of tabloids, and for the most part, she'd brushed it off, preferring to keep her private life separate from her music. But one evening, everything changed. The two had just finished dinner at Taylor's penthouse in New York City. They sat on the couch, sipping wine, when Travis, who had been unusually quiet, leaned forward. His hands were tense, and his eyes avoided hers. She noticed immediately, sensing a shift in his mood. "Taylor, there's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice heavy. "It's about my past, something I've never talked about publicly before." Taylor set her glass down, her heart beginning to race. She wasn't sure what to expect, but judging by the look on his face, it wasn't good. "What is it?" she asked, her voice steady, though her mind was already running through all the possibilities. Travis took a deep breath and began. "When I was younger, before I got into the NFL, I ran with a rough crowd. It wasn't just the typical rebellious teenage stuff. I got involved with people who were into serious things, illegal things. At the time, I thought it was exciting, like I was living on the edge, but it nearly destroyed my life." Taylor's eyes widened, but she kept silent, letting him continue. "I did things I'm not proud of, things that could have landed me in prison. I was arrested more than once. It wasn't until my brother Jason stepped in, forced me to change, that I got out of that life. I buried it, pushed it deep down, and promised myself I'd never let it resurface. But lately, some of those old ghosts have been haunting me. People from my past are trying to stir things up again." Taylor's heart sank. This wasn't just a scandalous story from his youth, it was something dark, something that had the potential to blow up both their lives. "Why didn't you tell me before?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. "I didn't think it would ever come back," Travis admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I thought I left it all behind. But I wanted to tell you before it hit the media. I couldn't let you hear about it from someone else." Taylor stood up, pacing across the room, her mind spinning. She had dealt with drama before, but this? This felt like a different beast. She trusted Travis, but this revelation shook her to the core. The media was ruthless, and if they caught wind of his past, it wouldn't just be his career on the line, it would be hers too. "Do you know how serious this is, Travis?" she finally said, her voice sharp. "Everything we've built, everything I've built, could come crashing down if this gets out. My name will be dragged through the mud because of something you did years ago. Do you realize how much I have to lose?" Travis stood up, his face full of regret. "I know, Taylor. Believe me, I know. But I don't want to hide this from you. I want us to be real, and that means being honest about my past, no matter how ugly it is." Taylor turned to face him, her eyes blazing. "But you kept it from me, Travis. You didn't trust me enough to tell me before, and now you're dumping it all on me like it's nothing. This isn't just about you anymore, it's about us." There was a long silence between them, the weight of his confession hanging in the air. Travis's eyes pleaded with her, but Taylor wasn't ready to forgive so easily. She felt betrayed, blindsided, and the uncertainty of what would come next terrified her. Finally, she spoke, her voice calmer but still filled with tension. "I need time to think. I can't just deal with this right now." Travis nodded, understanding the storm he had unleashed. "I get it. Take all the time you need. But please, don't walk away from this. From us." Taylor didn't respond. She turned, walking to the balcony and staring out at the city lights. Inside, her emotions were swirling, hurt, anger, and a sliver of fear. This was the side of fame she hated, the constant pressure to be perfect, to maintain a flawless image. And now, she had to decide if she was willing to risk it all for love. As she stood there, the chilly night breeze brushing against her skin, one thought echoed in her mind, what would the world say when they found out? Title, a love tested by the past. Taylor Swift sat backstage at her sold-out concert in Los Angeles, flipping through social media during a rare quiet moment. The tour had been incredible so far, but her relationship with NFL star Travis Kelce had become the center of media frenzy. She had gotten used to headlines, but today's was different. One tweet, in particular, caught her attention, and her heart dropped as she read the words, "Travis Kelce reveals shocking details about his past." The interview had just aired, and within minutes, snippets were everywhere. Taylor hesitated, then clicked on a video link. Travis, seated in a dimly lit studio, looked serious. "There are things from my past," he began, "that I haven't talked about. Things that I'm not proud of." Taylor clenched her phone, feeling a pang of anxiety. What was this about? As the interview continued, Travis spoke of his younger days, getting involved with the wrong crowd, run-ins with the law, and making poor decisions that nearly derailed his football career. He admitted to being reckless, angry, and unsure of his path back then. "I thought I had lost control of my life," he said somberly. "But football saved me. And later, Taylor did too." The words of admiration should have calmed her, but Taylor couldn't shake the unease growing in her chest. Why hadn't he told her about this sooner? She thought she knew everything about him, his triumphs, his failures, his dreams. But this part of his life felt like a hidden scar that had suddenly been exposed for the whole world to see. As the video ended, Taylor's phone buzzed with texts from friends, publicists, and managers all asking how she felt about the revelations. But she couldn't answer them yet, not until she had spoken to Travis. She quickly dialed his number. "Hey, Tay," Travis answered, his voice tentative. "Why didn't you tell me about this?" Her voice was sharp, more emotional than she intended. "You let the whole world hear about your past before me." Travis sighed. "I was going to, but it's hard to talk about. It's not something I'm proud of, Taylor. I didn't want to burden you with that part of my life. You think you're protecting me, but how am I supposed to trust you if you keep things like this hidden?" Taylor's frustration was building. "You've seen me lay my heart bare in my music. I've always been honest with you. Why couldn't you do the same?" "It's not the same," Travis said quietly. "I didn't know how to talk about it, especially not with you. I've worked so hard to move on from that, and I didn't want it to define who I am now. But I get it. I should have told you first." The silence between them was heavy, both of them processing the weight of what had been said, and what hadn't. Taylor knew she wasn't angry about his past, but rather about the secrecy. Travis had always been so open about his dreams, his family, his love for football. But this? It felt like a part of him had been closed off. Finally, Taylor took a deep breath. "I'm not mad about what happened, Travis. Everyone makes mistakes. But I need to know we can talk about the hard stuff, too. If we're going to make this work, I need to know all of you, not just the parts that are easy to share." "I hear you," Travis said, his voice full of regret. "I'll do better. I want you to know everything, even the messy parts. You deserve that." Taylor closed her eyes, calming her emotions. "Okay. But let's not let the media dictate our conversations. We need to be better than that." They stayed on the phone for a while longer, slowly bridging the gap that had momentarily formed between them. By the end of the call, Taylor felt lighter. She wasn't sure how the media would spin this story, but it didn't matter. What mattered was that Travis was willing to open up, that they were still building their trust. Later that night, as Taylor stood on stage under the bright lights, she smiled at the crowd. The love and support from her fans was overwhelming, but it was the conversation with Travis that was on her mind. Relationships weren't always easy, but she knew this was worth fighting for. As she strummed her guitar, the lyrics flowed effortlessly, words about forgiveness, about trust, and about finding strength in vulnerability. Taylor Swift wasn't just a songwriter, she was a storyteller. And now, her love story with Travis was becoming another chapter in the ever-evolving narrative of her life. Title: Unraveled. Taylor Swift stood in the corner of her living room, her arms crossed tightly against her chest as she stared at the TV. The evening had started off peacefully enough. She had just finished rehearsals for her upcoming tour, and Travis Kelce, her boyfriend, had come over for dinner. But now, the air between them felt thick with tension. On the screen, a reporter was finishing up an exclusive interview with Travis. The headline beneath his face read, **, Travis Kelce opens up about troubling past, shocking confessions. **, Taylor's phone buzzed endlessly with messages from her team. Damage control, Taylor. We need to handle this. What was he thinking? Stay calm. But staying calm was the last thing she felt capable of right now. Travis, sitting on the edge of the couch, had his head in his hands. His usual playful demeanor was gone, replaced by a rare seriousness. He had always been open with her about his career, his family, and his struggles. But this was something he hadn't shared. The reporter's voice echoed in the background. "It was a dark time in my life," Travis had said during the interview. "I got mixed up with the wrong crowd. I made choices I'm not proud of, and those choices had consequences. But I want to be honest about who I am, not just for myself but for the people I care about." Taylor could still hear those words ringing in her ears. She had always respected honesty, but this felt like a betrayal. Not because of his past, but because he had kept these details hidden from her. She had been blindsided. "What were you thinking?" Taylor finally broke the silence, her voice tight with frustration. "Why didn't you tell me about any of this before going public? I had to find out with the rest of the world." Travis looked up at her, his eyes heavy with guilt. "I didn't want to drag you into it. I thought I could handle it on my own. I was planning to tell you, Tay, I swear. I just didn't know how." "Not drag me into it," she snapped, pacing the room. "I'm already in it, Travis. The moment that interview aired, I was thrown into the middle of your past. And now every reporter, every paparazzo, is going to be digging through it, trying to connect it to me. Do you even realize what that means for both of us?" He stood up, walking towards her, but she stepped back, her eyes flashing with hurt. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this," he said softly. "I wanted to tell my story on my terms. To show people that I've changed, that I'm not that guy anymore." Taylor paused, her anger beginning to mix with sadness. She knew what it was like to be judged by the public. Every song, every lyric, every relationship she had ever been in was scrutinized under a microscope. She understood the pressure he felt to control his own narrative. But still, the hurt lingered. "You could have trusted me with it first," she whispered. "I would have stood by you. But you made a decision that affected